He said, I'll take care of it. The rich man, he said he didn't want to give that to the wali. He said he didn't want to give that to the wali, you know. He didn't give that money to the wali, right? So sometimes we make mistakes. Because if a wali asks you something, don't ever say no to the wali, huh? So anyway, Allah might save you from many difficulties you don't know about. And anyway, the wali says, give it to me, I'm going to take care of it for you. And the guy says, no, don't worry, I'm putting it in a safe place. The wali says, okay, as you like. Then they got on the boat, and somebody on the boat had a monkey. And he was bringing this monkey to Jeddah, maybe to do tricks or to beg, Allahu Alam, I don't know. So the monkey came out of nowhere and he jumped on that man and he stole that purse from underneath his robe, and he went all the way up the top of the mast where nobody could reach him, and then he opened the purse, and in that purse was 1,000 golden coins. One golden coin he threw to the man, and the other he threw to the sea. And one to the man, and one to the sea, and one to the man, and one to the sea, until all 500 went to the sea, and 500 the man took. The man became very angry. The wali said to him, why are you angry? The guy said to him, well, didn't you see what happened? He says, okay, that's good what happened. But look, nothing will happen without it being the will of Allah. Don't talk too much or else I will leave you. The man began to get worried because, you know, they have this thing. Then he said, the man is still angry, and the wali is keep going on. He's reciting some awrad, maybe Hisb al-Bahr, and the man's wife she's very interested in it. She's learning from it, and then he gets a little jealous. He says, hey, what are you learning there? And he says, can I read it like that? And when he did that, the woman slipped and fell off the boat and into the sea. So now what happened? The money disappeared, the lady disappeared. And they looked, they stopped the boat, they looked, they didn't find anything, so the man was crying. He lost his wife, he lost his money, and he's shouting at the wali, what kind of wali are you? Because now he knows, why did I ask you to come with me? So what happened? Well, the rich man covered up the truth and he didn't see it, the wali didn't say anything, the boat sailed on, they reached the port, the men were coming out on the deck, and then the man saw his wife by the boat, on the dock. Well, he was very happy to see his wife, and he looked at her and he said, I'm so happy to see you. How are you? You fell in the ocean, what happened? She said, ask the Shaykh. Now he understood. He made a mistake. Why to tell him, ask the Shaykh? It means she saw something coming from him. Say, ask the Shaykh, ask the Shaykh. He came to him and said, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi. Now he's saying, Ya Sayyidi. Before he was saying, you accompany me, you do this. He said, I'm still angry though, he said, because I lost my money, but I'm happy to see my wife. Anyway, that's the end of that story. So maybe you get that story, I don't know. Alhamdulillah. It's time to pray. Off to the masjid. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad ala bayti al-kiram wa ashabihi mukhlisin wa tabi'ihim wa awliya Allah salihin wa ulama muttaqin wa shuhada mutahharin wa jami' mashayikhina wa rabbina mashidina ila Allah ta'ala. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wa amma ba'd.
Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu, 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 Allah. As-subhu bada min talatihi wal-laylu daja min wafratihi.
When we said earlier, what the Prophet alayhi-s-salaam, la yu'minu billah la yu'min billah hatta yuhib li akhihi ma yuhib li nafsi. You remember from the story of Dr. Drami today, this bird that fell. Everybody will not forget this story because this is the proof of the strength of this messaging. You see, nobody will ever say that bird fell, and the Shaykh told the people, like you want to hear me talking, but you didn't listen to the bird. So all of your thing is nothing compared to that. This one little lesson like that makes such a deep impression in the minds and the hearts of the people, like that other way that people will reach to this kind of understanding. So again, that's what we say. It's necessary, you know, to leave your homes and to give off doing what you're doing, and at least, you know, every now and then come and sit together with other human beings and take part in this method of transmission, because there's no other way that these things ever get transmitted other than by doing it like that. That is not only a benefit, but on that level, but on many different levels. So I would go back to the last story I told you, the story about the wali and went on the Hajj, and about the gold coins and the ones that went there, and the woman and the falling in the water, and so on and so forth, like that. Meaning what, as he says, if you're going to go with the wali, you better be careful, because you don't know what it's going to do. It says, and also the story that Dr. Dwami told, another part of that we have also. We remember all of these people, and that's why we use their names over and over again when we talk, say Shaykh this, Shaykh this. But in this case, Haji Madullah Makki, we used to say that the mercy and the love of Allah descends on a person who gains a place of love in the heart of the Shaykh. And the reason for that is that the mercy and love of Allah continuously descends upon the heart of the Shaykh, so that when someone else's love permeates the heart of the Shaykh, that person too becomes the recipient of the mercy and the love of Allah. So there are many benefits to be gained, because if you don't spend the time, you don't know. You never know who is the person. You don't know how the person is, or what the person is, or what how their being is, unless you spend the time with them. This whole thing of sohbeh, of being a sahaba, of being a companion, of companionships of each other, and gaining from each other, because you're special people. There's so many people in Charlottesville. There's 200 Muslim families in Charlottesville. We don't see maybe one or two here. They have many other things to do. They don't have time for this. You see them, they go to the masjid, they pray, they leave the masjid. They go to the Jummah, they pray, and they leave. So they don't learn to spend time with one another, to do that. Why do we eat together? Why, those of you who come, those of you who stay with Sheikh Rashid, a lot of it has to do with eating together, sitting and eating together, talking with each other. In this way, creates a community of the heart between one another, where he says, Hatta yuhib, until you love. This word they translate that, until you desire, until you wish, no, until you love for your fellow human being, what you love for yourself. This way, how is love created between the hearts of people? They have to spend time with each other. They have to get to know each other, the young ones, old ones, and so forth. They spend that time together through doing these things, which it may appear very innocuous. You may not understand why are we sitting doing that? Why aren't we're not listening to some very profound lesson? We're just eating, goat. What's the reason? The reason for that is by this sharing, the sharing of the food, the sharing of the qira of the Quran, the sharing of the dhikr of Allah, the sharing of praying together one another. That's why I say that model that we have, model that we try to follow, this small little attempt in this way, is Dar al-Arqam in Mecca, where people came together, and there were so many people in Mecca, only a few people came. But those people created the nucleus of the entire Islamic movement. And how it happened in just that way. We have to recreate that everywhere we go. Like in Northern Virginia, you go to the house of Hafiz Yusuf and Hafiz Manawar and their family, where they're teaching Quran to the children, where people come and they eat together, where people pray together like that. You see the same thing. We visit with Sidi Hussein and Sidna Hassan and Sidna Jawad and their family. So many people come together, sit together, eating together. This is what creates the community. And not just, if you go to the masjid and you pray, like my son was telling me, he said that we prayed and then we wanted to, I said, we read Quran. I said, no, that's bid'ah. We have to, they want to go watch TV, you see after the salat, the people finish the salat, they stand up and they begin talking in very loud voice. Not to say subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, no, that's some kind of bid'ah. But you're talking about this, talking about in very loud voices so that nobody else can pray. This is what happens. So the people have lost this thing. So as we say, what are the things we're trying to do? Like why we support this Knife Foundation? These are people, or why we support Zain al-Abidin, or why we support these types of occupation? Because people are trying to recreate or to create again in this country, in this environment, sunnahs that have been lost. When we have these meetings, the children come, the old people come, all these different people come together. It's not just to listen to this, it's to the company of the people with one another. This creates something that you cannot find any other way. And it's only for one purpose. We didn't come here because I could be giving a lecture on how to make money. Or I could be giving a lecture, the motivational speaking about this, that. We came together for Allah. You left your houses for Allah. You came for Allah. Maybe you get some little bit of knowledge. That's why you came. Allah knows this. He knows your hearts. This is what makes, the real Islam, not the metaphorical Islam, not the plastic Islam, not this. That's why we're keen on the Qurbani and doing the Qurbani. It's the same thing. People come together, they're outdoors, there's the animals, there's the knives, there's all that stuff going on. But something else intangible happens that cannot happen any other way in the world except by that. There's an experience that is shared that's keeping company. That's what Sohbeh is. Is that somehow the what do you call it? The Turkish translation has become more I think it's listening to something. No, Sohbeh, the root of it is sahaba, to share in company together, to be in company together. Not only company with that's just the person who's sitting in this place, as you can see, is just a focal point. Right? But we have many other things. Ladies are in there cooking, other people are fixing this thing, we'll go to pray, we'll come back, we'll do that. All of this is part of the experience. That's what needs to be constantly recreated to create a living Muslim community instead of, as I say, a plastic community or a community that's metaphorical, that doesn't exist in reality. We're all Muslims and everything. But what does that mean? Who are your fellow Muslims? Who are they? And then you look around and you see there's people from here, people from there, from this culture, that culture. We listen to somebody from this, all these things, and then you begin to see, that's who we are. And you just don't know them and say, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. When you leave, you get to hear who they are, you get to talk with them while they eat, and so on and so on. It's a very important thing to do. This whole thing of doing these Sundays, yes, to transmit information, yes, okay, yes, all for that, but to create this kind of community of people where people come together for what purpose? For the sake of Allah and the love of His Prophet alayhi-s-salaam. That's why we came. Nobody else came for any other reason, because there isn't any other reason to come. So like that. So, alhamdulillah. He said, going on to say that when a person enter into the company of their shaykh, their heart is kindled with the love of Allah. And when the person, we read that, we're talking about the fuel and the flame, right? So the fuel in the relationship with the shaykh, what's the fuel? The jobs that he gives you. Every shaykh will give his student jobs to do. The jobs are not really important in themselves. I mean, so you could find somebody else to do it. Like as I mentioned, the story of Shaykh Muhammad, his shaykh gave him the job for 2 years, just making sure all the shoes were straight. What's the job? This is the fuel for what are you trying to do? We want the fire so that the fire is not blowing. Like if you stay with the shaykh, okay, everything is good, then you leave the company of the shaykh and then everything starts falling apart again, right? So how to keep it so that the flame, because if you want to make tea, if you want to make coffee, you have to have a hot flame. If the flame is moving like this all the time like that and blowing around like that, then it won't heat it, right? So you need this constancy. What is the constancy? The constancy is the awrad, the dhikr, the prayer, and all of these things. This makes the constancy, but what's the fuel? What makes the fire that burns, that makes the thing burning? That is what the jobs are that you're given to do.